All right, whether or not this is a political decision for Netanyahu, let's leave that aside. Let's look at the situation right now for Israel. It is a very emotional and understandably so feeling that is sweeping over Israel right now, which is bring the hostages home. That has to be the priority. There are protests, voices, it's in the media. If you watch Israeli television, it's there all the time. It's really something that has caught the soul of the Israelis. But is it bringing the hostages back home? Is it also the safest and most secure and best option for Israel in the long run?
This is what they used to call $64,000 question. Now it's the $1 million question.
At least.
Let's think of a strategy. We're talking about a long war that's awaiting ahead of us with the Iranians, who are in a good standing with the Russians now and supported by the Russians. They are on a campaign of a war of attrition against Israel using Hezbollah, the Houthis, even Jordan, the West Bank, and actually what they call a ring of fire around Israel. So what is the right move for Israel now that we're 11 months after the Hamas attack? You may say, and most people say, well, there is a time, but at this juncture, we should regroup and get ready for the big war. And we need the public support from the US and the Europeans. The hindrance to that are the politicians on the right, Ben Gvir and Smotrich, who are threatening Netanyahu to break off the coalition if he should budge with Sinwar and so on. So he doesn't really have a room to maneuver and maybe defer the war against the Hezbollah for a year or two. He doesn't have that room at this time. That's why we're in a kind of a lull or even a limbo. Unfortunately, the government is not able to show empathy to the families of the hostages for different reasons that we can discuss maybe later. But they're not able to show any compassion. And this puts the families of the hostages in a position where they view the government as being held hostage by Smotrich and Ben Gvir and not really understand their ulterior strategic motives. So we are in a brink, or I would say in a rift of trust between a lot of Israelis, about 70% of them who want the hostages back with a ceasefire, and the government and the ultra-right. This is dangerous for Israel. And unfortunately, we're in a limbo also with the world around us, not able to create a coalition in our favor. So we're in a pretty dire straits at this juncture.
Certainly a very difficult time for Israel right now. Brigadier General in the Reserves, Relik Shafir, thank you so much for your analysis and for your input.